Have you noticed that your hands or feet sometimes feel cold, numb, or tingly, even when the rest of your body feels warm? Do you sometimes feel that your energy and your sense of closeness with your partner have quietly faded over the years, and you have wondered whether your diabetes might be connected to that? Have you been searching for natural, safe ways to support your circulation and feel more like yourself again? If any of those questions felt familiar, you are definitely not alone, and this video is for you. Every video on this channel is made with one purpose in mind: helping you understand your body better and live your fullest, healthiest life with diabetes. Hi, my name is Dr. Emily. Before we begin, please remember that everything shared in this video is for educational purposes only and is not a substitute for advice from your own doctor or healthcare provider. Always speak with your personal healthcare team before adding any new vitamins or supplements to your routine, especially if you are currently taking medications for diabetes, blood pressure, or heart health. Now, today we are going to have a conversation that many people with diabetes wish someone had started with them much sooner. We are talking about circulation. We are talking about the health of your blood vessels. And yes, we are going to talk honestly and openly about intimacy, because poor circulation caused by diabetes affects that area of life just as much as it affects your feet, your hands, and your heart. And yet, it is one of the last things that gets discussed in a typical doctor's appointment. Poor circulation is not just an inconvenience. It is one of the most widespread and impactful complications of long-term diabetes. When blood sugar remains elevated over months and years, it causes a gradual process of damage to the walls of blood vessels throughout the entire body. This damage affects the large vessels that carry blood to major organs, and it also affects the tiny capillaries that deliver oxygen and nutrients to your extremities, your skin, your nerves, and the tissues involved in sexual function and intimacy. The result of this ongoing vascular damage is a cluster of experiences that many people with diabetes recognize deeply. Feet and hands that feel perpetually cold, legs that feel heavy or tired after walking even short distances, wounds that heal slowly, a feeling of fatigue that goes beyond ordinary tiredness. And for many men and women over 50 with diabetes, a gradual but noticeable decline in sexual function, desire, and the kind of physical closeness that is so important to quality of life and emotional well-being. What many people do not realize is that specific vitamins play a direct and meaningful role in supporting blood vessel health, improving circulation, and protecting the nerve function that underlies both physical sensation and intimacy. These are not miracle cures. They are scientifically studied nutrients that, when consistently present in the body at adequate levels, support the mechanisms that keep your circulation healthy and your body feeling alive and responsive. In this video, Dr. Emily is going to walk you through the top 3 vitamins that have the strongest evidence for improving circulation and supporting intimacy in people with diabetes. We are going to go deep into the science, explain exactly how each vitamin works, talk about how to get it from food and from supplements if appropriate, discuss realistic dosage considerations, and give you practical steps you can take right away. This is detailed, honest, respectful information designed for adults who deserve to understand their own bodies and make informed decisions about their health. So let us begin. Let me tell you about Robert first. Robert is 62 years old and has been living with type 2 diabetes for about 9 years. For the first several years after his diagnosis, his main focus was getting his blood sugar numbers under control, which he largely did through medication and dietary changes. But around year 5, he started noticing something that bothered him deeply, but that he felt uncomfortable bringing up with his doctor. His circulation had noticeably worsened. His feet were almost always cold. He had developed some mild neuropathy, that familiar tingling and numbness that many diabetics know well. And his intimate life with his wife had changed significantly. He had less desire, less physical responsiveness, and it was affecting their relationship and his sense of himself as a person. When Robert finally did bring it up with his healthcare provider, he was told that these changes were common in diabetes and that there were some things he could try. Among the recommendations was a more careful look at his vitamin levels and whether targeted nutritional support might help. Robert started paying close attention to 3 specific vitamins. Within several months, he noticed genuine improvements. His feet felt warmer, his energy was better, and he and his wife both noticed a meaningful difference in their intimate connection. Then there is Patricia, a 67-year-old woman who had been managing type 2 diabetes for 12 years. Patricia had always been careful about her diet and her medications, but she had been experiencing progressive circulation problems in her legs for several years. She had been told it was diabetic peripheral vascular disease, which is a narrowing and hardening of the blood vessels in the legs and feet caused by long-term high blood sugar. She also struggled with what she described as a complete loss of that sense of physical vitality and intimacy that had been an important part of her life before diabetes. She felt, as she put it, disconnected from her own body. Patricia worked with her healthcare team to address not just her blood sugar management, but also the underlying vascular health issues. Vitamin optimization was part of that conversation. She was found to be deficient in 2 of the 3 vitamins we are discussing today, which is extremely common in people who have had diabetes for many years. Addressing those deficiencies was one component of a broader plan that gradually helped her feel more physically alive and connected again. Both Robert and Patricia discovered something that more people with diabetes deserve to know. The health of your blood vessels, your circulation, your nerve function, and yes, your intimate life, is not simply an inevitable casualty of diabetes. There are specific, evidence-based steps you can take to support and protect these systems, and vitamins are one of those steps. Now that we understand why this matters so deeply, let us look at what you can actually do about it starting today. Here are the top 3 vitamins for improving circulation and intimacy in people with diabetes. The first vitamin is vitamin B3, which is also known as niacin. And this one has some of the most direct and well-documented effects on circulation of any vitamin in the entire nutritional science literature. The reason niacin is so powerful for circulation starts with what it does to blood vessels at a very fundamental level. Niacin is a direct precursor to a molecule called NAD, which stands for Nicotinamide Adenine Dinucleotide. NAD is involved in hundreds of metabolic processes in the body, but one of its most important functions in the context of circulation is its role in the production of nitric oxide. Nitric oxide is a molecule that causes blood vessels to relax and widen, a process called vasodilation. When your blood vessels are more relaxed and wider, blood flows through them more easily and reaches every part of your body more effectively, including your extremities, your skin, your organs, and the tissues involved in sexual function. Now here's the part most people living with diabetes completely overlook, and it could be the key to better numbers and better circulation. In people with diabetes, the production of nitric oxide is frequently impaired. High blood sugar damages the cells that line blood vessels, called endothelial cells, and these are the exact cells responsible for producing nitric oxide. This is one of the primary reasons why circulation deteriorates in diabetes over time. The blood vessels literally lose some of their ability to relax and dilate properly, and blood flow becomes restricted throughout the body. Niacin supports endothelial cell function and helps restore some of that capacity to produce nitric oxide. Several clinical studies have shown that niacin supplementation can improve markers of vascular function in people with diabetes and cardiovascular disease. It has also been shown to raise levels of HDL cholesterol, which is the protective form of cholesterol that helps keep blood vessels clean and flexible. High LDL and low HDL cholesterol patterns, which are extremely common in type 2 diabetes, contribute significantly to blood vessel damage and reduced circulation. Niacin addresses this pattern directly. In terms of intimacy specifically, the connection is direct and physiological. Both male and female sexual response depends fundamentally on blood flow. In men, achieving and maintaining an erection requires robust blood flow to the penile tissue, and this blood flow depends on healthy nitric oxide production in the blood vessels of that region. Diabetic erectile dysfunction is overwhelmingly a vascular problem. It is not primarily psychological. It is the result of damaged blood vessels and impaired nitric oxide production. Niacin addresses that underlying vascular mechanism. In women, healthy sexual response also depends on blood flow to the genital tissues, which supports lubrication, sensation, and physical arousal. Reduced blood flow due to diabetic vascular damage can significantly diminish these responses. Supporting nitric oxide production and vascular health through niacin and the other vitamins we will discuss can support improvement in these areas. Niacin is found naturally in foods, including peanuts, mushrooms, avocado, whole grains, and sunflower seeds. These are all diabetes-friendly food choices that you may already be including in your diet. Dietary niacin from these sources is safe and beneficial. When it comes to niacin supplements, there is an important distinction to understand. There are different forms of niacin available, and they behave quite differently in the body. Standard niacin, sometimes called nicotinic acid, can cause what is known as a niacin flush, which is a temporary sensation of warmth, redness, and tingling of the skin that occurs shortly after taking it. This is harmless but can be uncomfortable. There are flush-free forms of niacin available, such as inositol hexanicotinate, which do not cause this reaction. There is also nicotinamide, also known as niacinamide, which is another form that does not cause flushing. It is very important that you do not start taking high-dose niacin supplements without speaking with your doctor first. High-dose niacin can affect blood sugar levels and can interact with some diabetes medications. Your doctor can help you determine whether a niacin supplement is appropriate for you, which form to use, and what dose is safe given your individual health situation. This is not a vitamin to self-prescribe at high doses. The second vitamin with outstanding evidence for improving circulation and supporting intimacy in people with diabetes is vitamin D. And this one surprises many people because vitamin D is most commonly associated with bone health and immune function. But the research on vitamin D and vascular health in diabetes is genuinely striking, and deficiency in this vitamin is extraordinarily common in people with type 2 diabetes. What I am about to share next surprised even some of my patients who have been managing diabetes for years. Multiple large studies have found that people with type 2 diabetes have significantly lower levels of vitamin D on average compared to people without diabetes. More importantly, research has shown that low vitamin D levels are independently associated with worse blood vessel function, higher levels of vascular inflammation, and greater severity of diabetic complications, including neuropathy and sexual dysfunction. Mechanisms through which vitamin D supports circulation are multiple and interconnected. First, vitamin D receptors are found on the cells that line blood vessels, the endothelial cells we mentioned earlier. When vitamin D binds to these receptors, it helps regulate the production of nitric oxide, reduce inflammation in the vessel walls, and inhibit the formation of arterial plaques. All of these actions support better blood flow and healthier, more flexible blood vessels. Second, vitamin D plays a role in regulating the renin-angiotensin system, which is the hormonal system that controls blood pressure. People with diabetes have a much higher rate of hypertension than the general population, and high blood pressure further damages blood vessels and worsens circulation. Adequate vitamin D levels help support healthier blood pressure regulation, which protects the vascular system more broadly. Third, and this is the connection that surprises many people, vitamin D is involved in the regulation of testosterone production in both men and women. Testosterone is not just relevant for men. Women also produce and need testosterone, and adequate levels in both sexes are important for libido, energy, physical responsiveness, and the general sense of vitality that underpins a healthy, intimate life. Several studies have found meaningful associations between vitamin D deficiency and lower testosterone levels, and between vitamin D supplementation and improvements in sexual function and desire in both men and women. There is also a direct connection between vitamin D and insulin sensitivity. Adequate vitamin D levels appear to support better insulin function, which means that correcting a vitamin D deficiency does not just potentially improve your circulation and intimacy, it may also support your blood sugar control more broadly. This is a vitamin that is genuinely pulling in multiple beneficial directions at the same time for someone managing diabetes. The primary natural source of vitamin D is sunlight. When ultraviolet B rays from the sun hit your skin, your body produces vitamin D. However, many adults over 50 have reduced capacity to synthesize vitamin D from sunlight compared to younger people. People with darker skin also synthesize less vitamin D from a given amount of sun exposure, and people who live in regions with limited sunlight during winter months or who spend most of their time indoors are at particularly high risk of deficiency. Food sources of vitamin D include egg yolks, fortified dairy products, and plant milks. fortified cereals, and certain mushrooms that have been exposed to ultraviolet light during growing. However, it is genuinely difficult to get adequate vitamin D from food alone, which is why supplementation is so commonly recommended. Stay with me here because what comes next is probably the most practical thing in this entire video regarding vitamin D. The single most important step you can take right now regarding vitamin D is to ask your doctor to test your blood level. A simple blood test called a 25-hydroxy vitamin D test will tell you exactly where your level stands. This matters because the right supplementation dose depends entirely on how deficient you are, and taking vitamin D without knowing your baseline means guessing about something that should not be guesswork. Most experts consider a blood level of at least 30 nanograms per milliliter to be adequate, though some research suggests levels between 40 and 60 nanograms per milliliter may be optimal for people with diabetes. If your level is below 30, your doctor will likely recommend supplementation. Common supplementation doses range from 1,000 to 4,000 international units per day for maintenance, though deficient individuals may need higher doses for a period of time under medical supervision. Vitamin D3 is generally considered the most effective form of supplemental vitamin D, as it is the same form produced by the body when skin is exposed to sunlight. It is also important to know that vitamin D is a fat-soluble vitamin, meaning it is best absorbed when taken with a meal that contains some fat. Taking your vitamin D supplement with breakfast or lunch rather than on an empty stomach will improve absorption. Now, this is the perfect moment to address a myth that affects a significant number of people with diabetes, and it is one that could be quietly holding back your progress in managing both your circulation and your overall health. Here is the myth. Many people with diabetes believe that taking vitamins and supplements is unnecessary if they are eating a reasonably balanced diet. They assume that if they are not severely malnourished, their vitamin levels are probably fine, and that supplements are mostly a marketing gimmick designed to extract money from health-conscious consumers. Here's what research actually shows. People with type 2 diabetes are at significantly higher risk of specific vitamin deficiencies compared to the general population, and this is true even when their diet appears balanced. There are several reasons for this. Metformin, which is one of the most commonly prescribed medications for type 2 diabetes worldwide, is well documented to reduce the absorption of vitamin B12 over time. Long-term metformin use without B12 monitoring or supplementation can lead to progressive B12 deficiency, which contributes directly to neuropathy and can worsen the circulation and nerve problems that many diabetics already face. Beyond metformin, the metabolic changes associated with diabetes itself appear to increase the body's demand for certain vitamins and antioxidants, while simultaneously impairing the body's ability to absorb and retain them efficiently. Chronic high blood sugar increases oxidative stress throughout the body, which depletes antioxidant vitamins faster than they would be depleted in a healthy metabolic state. This means that the same dietary intake of certain vitamins that would maintain adequate levels in a person without diabetes may not be sufficient to maintain adequate levels in someone with diabetes. This myth matters enormously for circulation and intimacy because 2 of the 3 vitamins in this video, vitamin D and the third one we are about to discuss, are among the nutrients most commonly found to be deficient in people with long-term diabetes, even those eating what they consider to be a healthy diet. Assuming your levels are fine without testing is a mistake that could be costing you meaningful improvements in how you feel every day. The third and final vitamin with powerful evidence for improving circulation and supporting intimacy in people with diabetes is vitamin E. Vitamin E is a fat-soluble antioxidant, and its primary role in the context of circulation and vascular health is protecting blood vessel walls from oxidative damage. This next point is something most doctors do not have time to explain in a short appointment, so pay close attention. Here is the core problem that vitamin E addresses in diabetes. When blood sugar is chronically elevated, a process called oxidative stress accelerates dramatically throughout the body. Oxidative stress occurs when unstable molecules called free radicals accumulate faster than the body can neutralize them. These free radicals attack and damage cell membranes, proteins, and DNA throughout the body, and the cells that line blood vessels are particularly vulnerable to this kind of damage. The result of chronic oxidative stress on blood vessels is exactly the kind of progressive vascular damage that drives diabetic complications. The vessel walls become inflamed. They become stiffer and less flexible. The endothelial cells that produce nitric oxide become damaged and less functional. Plaques begin to form. Blood flow becomes restricted, and all of the downstream consequences that we have been discussing throughout this video, reduced circulation in the extremities, worsened neuropathy, and reduced blood flow to the tissues involved in intimacy, begin to develop and worsen over time. Vitamin E is one of the most powerful fat-soluble antioxidants in the body, and it works specifically within cell membranes to neutralize free radicals before they can damage the structural components of those membranes. In blood vessel walls, this protective action is critically important. By reducing oxidative damage to endothelial cells, vitamin E helps preserve their ability to produce nitric oxide, maintain vessel flexibility, and regulate blood flow. Several studies have shown that vitamin E supplementation can improve markers of endothelial function in people with diabetes and reduce certain markers of vascular inflammation. Vitamin E also has mild antiplatelet effects, meaning it helps prevent blood platelets from clumping together too aggressively and forming clots in small blood vessels. In people with diabetes, blood tends to be more prone to clotting, which can further restrict circulation in small vessels. This antiplatelet action of vitamin E supports better blood flow in the small vessels that supply the extremities and the tissues involved in sexual function. In terms of the connection to intimacy, vitamin E has an additional dimension that is worth mentioning. Vitamin E plays a role in the regulation of sex hormone levels and in protecting the hormone-producing cells in the reproductive organs from oxidative damage. Chronic oxidative stress is known to impair the function of the Leydig cells in men, which are the cells responsible for producing testosterone. In women, oxidative stress affects ovarian function and hormonal balance. By reducing systemic oxidative stress, adequate vitamin E levels help create a more favorable hormonal environment for healthy libido and sexual responsiveness. Vitamin E is found naturally in a range of plant foods, and getting it from food sources is always the preferred approach. The best food sources include sunflower seeds, almonds, hazelnuts, peanuts, avocado, spinach, Swiss chard, and wheat germ oil. These are all foods that are generally compatible with a diabetes-friendly diet, particularly in moderate portions. Sunflower seeds and almonds make excellent snacks for people with diabetes because they combine vitamin E with protein, healthy fats, and fiber, all of which support blood sugar stability. When considering vitamin E supplementation, there is one important distinction to understand. Vitamin E actually exists as a family of 8 related compounds, 4 tocopherols and 4 tocotrienols. Most vitamin E supplements on the market contain only one form, called alpha-tocopherol. However, research suggests that a mixed tocopherol supplement that includes multiple forms of vitamin E, particularly gamma-tocopherol alongside alpha-tocopherol, may be more beneficial than alpha-tocopherol alone. When choosing a vitamin E supplement, looking for a product that contains mixed tocopherols is worth considering. Another important caution about vitamin E supplementation is that high doses can increase the risk of bleeding, particularly in people who are taking blood-thinning medications like warfarin or aspirin. People with diabetes who are on anticoagulant therapy should speak with their doctor before taking vitamin E supplements. This is not a reason to avoid vitamin E from food, but it is a reason to have a careful conversation with your healthcare provider before starting supplementation. Dietary vitamin E from whole foods is safe and beneficial for virtually everyone. Supplemental vitamin E at moderate doses, typically around 200 to 400 international units per day of a mixed tocopherol formula, is also considered safe for most adults. But again, your doctor is the right person to advise you on whether supplementation is appropriate, given your specific medications and health history. And if you only remember one thing from today, let it be this. Circulation and intimacy in diabetes are not fixed, unchangeable realities. They are influenced by the nutritional environment inside your body, and that nutritional environment is something you have real power to support and improve. The three vitamins we have discussed today, vitamin B3 or niacin, vitamin D, and vitamin E, each work through distinct but complementary mechanisms to protect and support blood vessel health, nitric oxide production, antioxidant defense, and the hormonal environment that underlies a healthy, connected, intimate life. None of these vitamins works overnight. Nutritional support for vascular health is a gradual process that builds over weeks and months of consistent attention. But that gradual process is real, it is meaningful, and it is something that hundreds of thousands of people with diabetes around the world are actively benefiting from right now. Let us bring everything together. Vitamin B3 or niacin supports the production of nitric oxide by helping endothelial cells function more effectively, directly improving blood vessel dilation and blood flow. It also supports healthy cholesterol patterns that protect vascular health over time. It is found in peanuts, mushrooms, avocado, and whole grains, and should only be taken in supplement form under medical guidance due to its effects on blood sugar and potential interactions with diabetes medications. Vitamin D is involved in vascular inflammation regulation, blood pressure control, insulin sensitivity, and testosterone production in both men and women. Deficiency is extremely common in people with type 2 diabetes and is independently linked to worse circulation and sexual dysfunction. A blood test to check your level is the most important first step, and supplementation with vitamin D3 alongside a meal containing fat is the most effective approach if deficiency is confirmed. Vitamin E is a powerful fat-soluble antioxidant that protects blood vessel walls from the oxidative damage driven by chronic high blood sugar. It preserves endothelial cell function, supports nitric oxide production, has mild antiplatelet effects that support circulation in small vessels, and helps protect the hormonal environment that underlies libido and sexual response. It is found in sunflower seeds, almonds, avocado, and leafy greens, and supplementation with a mixed tocopherol formula may be considered under medical guidance. You deserve to feel well, to feel connected to your body, and to experience the full richness of your relationships and your life. Diabetes does not have to take those things from you. With the right knowledge, the right support, and consistent daily choices, you can protect your vascular health and nourish the parts of yourself that make life genuinely worth living. Thank you so much for spending this time with Dr. Emily today. If this video gave you something valuable, something that changes how you think about your circulation, your nutrition, or your intimate health with diabetes, please subscribe to Diabetes Wellness by Emily so you never miss another video like this one. New videos are published regularly, all designed to give you the honest, detailed, practical health information that you deserve as someone living with diabetes. Take care of yourself, be kind to your body, and remember that every good choice you make today is protecting the life you want to live tomorrow.